Welcome
in, everyone. Welcome to another exciting show.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Are we excited?
Oh yeah.
The megaphone is back after taking last week off.
I missed the megaphone.
Do you?
We missed you last week.
Yeah, we missed you.
Well, thank you guys. I missed you guys too.
Mm-hmm.
I can turn that up, but it's my regular. Oh wow, that sounds loud now.
That sounds louder.
Loud. Yeah.
That louder. Yeah. Now you're in.
Whatever. Anyway, now I can hear myself, but that's fine. So, Jonathan Taylor happened. Let's
kind of.
Yeah. Well, it man, I
so brutal.
I don't think this was really foreseeable.
Out of every outcome, this was probably least likely. That could have happened.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also don't think this was really on anyone's mind. I didn't hear anyone talk about this. This idea that he would be placed on the PUP if the trade didn't happen. I don't think I really remember hearing that. So here we are. Now what do you do? You're in this situation. What do you do?
So for fantasy football, I mean, are we looking at Dynasty or redraft perspective? Because
let's start with redraft.
Well, with redraft purposes, I mean, I just don't want him. I seriously just don't want him. I mean, his ADP is still going to be reasonably high because he's a superstar running back. He's been all-pro, put up 1,800 rushing yards in a single season. His ADP is not going to be where it's at currently in like the second round, obviously, but it's still going to be reasonably high. I just don't want it because after the 4 games, there's just no guarantee of what happens because he could continue playing with the team on the last year's rookie deal. That's possible, but that's not 100%. He could sit out, hold out for a trade or a contract, or he gets traded to a place and we have no idea where that is. There's just so many ways it could go wrong or it could go way differently than people expect. And for that reason, I'm probably going to be out on Jonathan Taylor wherever his cost is. I think it's still going to be reasonably high.
Let me ask you guys, what's the player that is in the tier that you're like, okay, once he's off the board and the running backs, what's the line?
He's in that tier of running backs that I seem to have never take anyway.
The Joe Mixons, the Ramondres.
Not that tier. The Kenneth Walker, Miles Sanders, Cam Akers, Rashad White, James Conner. I never have any of those players.
So you take those guys over? You take those guys over JT or no?
No.
JT's
at the top of that tier.
So like you're looking at,
I think that's fair because that's like mid-tier RB2 range.
He's below Hall, Mixon, Etienne, Harris.
Yeah.
Now Damian Pierce and Aaron.
I think that's fair.
Do you want Jonathan Taylor or Aaron Jones?
Aaron
Jones easily.
Okay, so right around that, you're looking at the early 4th round.
Yeah, because you have to at this point now that the problem is, I always say it's a really good bet that the players are going to come back until they don't. And then it's not a good bet anymore. Once there's a problem, once a confirmed problem happens, then all bets are off. So you're taking the risk when you make the pick that Jonathan Taylor doesn't play at all because that is a possibility.
Totally play. Yep.
I'm not going to read that, but that's very interesting news, Ryan. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it,
Ryan.
You're welcome.
Go for it, man. Go take care.
Yes, this is.
Oh my goodness.
It's a long story. We're not getting into that.
No, we're not getting into it.
Yeah. Where are all the questions in the chat? Please put some questions in the chat. If you're here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notifications bell. Sign up for the Patreon. Make sure to do that. Otherwise, the YouTube show will be taken away. It'll be taken away unless more people sign up for the Patreon. I'm only half kidding. It'll be taken away if I don't feel like there's enough support on the Patreon. I love you guys, but I can tell when I'm interacting with the patrons and helping them improve my dynasty teams. That's really what I love. I like doing this. I like doing the YouTube, but this drains me. It drains me. I get asked to be on other shows all the time, and I always say no. Unlike Hutch, who's on every show all the time. I don't know how you do it. This might be because you're 17 and I'm old.
Dude, like it was so funny. Like the month of July, I think I guessed it on 13 shows.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't
know how you do it. I will say.
Plus what you do on the regular.
Plus what I do on a regular basis, which is like
I will say I'm getting a little bit of a revival for the shorter video format. I feel like I can excel there. But
yeah, I've watched a lot of your shorts, Tyler. You do good. I like the shorts, man. You do good.
But if this show ever disappeared, it would be replaced by more of the 9 to 10 minute Tyler solo videos. But as long as people keep signing up to Patreon and keep supporting me, specifically if you tell me you're supporting it because this long show exists, the long show is more likely to exist. Person X donated a large sum of money, multiple hundreds of dollars to keep this show going. So, I appreciate Person X who wanted to remain nameless, but it's that kind of support that keeps me doing this because it's hard. It's hard to come and do a long show. It's hard. So I appreciate everyone who supports me on that. I appreciate everyone who comes in the comments because, maybe when I was doing Ask DLF, this was more my area of expertise, but I'm exhausted. I find myself exhausted a lot of the time. So, every little bit of support matters on these long live shows from the co-host, from the audience, and from everyone else. So that just means a lot to me, every little bit of support, especially if you mention that it's for this. Ask Tyler was done yesterday. It was good. A lot of shorts going on. I did a short about Trey Lance. There were some guest stars. We'll talk about that in a second. But what else is there to say about? Let's go through some of the chat questions. Do the chat questions.
So I had this trade go down in one of my leagues. Kenny Pickett or Tank Bigsby in a late 24 first. And this 24 first, I hate ranking where picks end up. This is easily a top 3 pick. Last 3 picks of the draft.
Well, if that's really the case, then I'll take the Bigsby side. Sure.
Yeah.
Even if that's the case, I think any first really over Pickett, even if it's going to be that late. I mean, I'll have to do that. I think I'm going to have to do that.
I think Pickett's worth around like a late first to me. Like I think that's totally fine with me if you want to pay that because I don't expect a ginormous breakout. I do expect a step forward from last year, but I also think the Pittsburgh Steelers might just be stuck with him for the next couple of years. They're not going to have the draft capital. The free agents next year are bad. They're not going to have the trade power to get somebody massive. So they might be stuck with him for the next couple of years, even if he is mediocre. So he should be a starter for at least the next couple of years. So that's why I have him valued a little bit more than Tyler. So like a little bit more.
Today,
but
Jason Moore said, or maybe it was Mike Wright. I forget. I forget who said what. But on the last Fantasy Footballers episode I listened to, it was Jason. He said that he thinks that
I think I remember this.
Tank Bigsby is going to be a top 20 running back.
I did remember hearing that.
That's very interesting.
It is interesting. Bigsby will definitely be relevant. He'll be a relevant piece in fantasy. I think he's enough to push me to the other side over Pickett.
Yeah, I'm interested in Tank Bigsby, so I will take that.
Yeah, he's intriguing.
On the clock, rookie PPR tight end premium. Musgrave, Roshan Johnson, or Jaden Reed.
Musgrave.
Yeah, the tight end premium makes it remote.
Oh my gosh. I just said his name for the first time in 4 months. I haven't said that Bears running back's name.
Oh, Roshan.
I was done talking about him. I was just done.
Yeah.
I accidentally said it. I feel dirty.
He's had a good couple of weeks. I mean,
yeah, he's been all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I just think that we can talk about Roshan Johnson a little bit. He's someone that's been moving in my redraft rankings, but not so far up. It's more that Deonta Foreman has been moving down.
Yeah, it's just Deonta.
Khalil Herbert's been the one moving up more.
Yeah, Khalil Herbert's.
He separated himself.
Good.
He's a clear starter. Yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah, he is.
Castle Sports Talk adds, I'm fine not even drafting Taylor for the rest of the offseason.
I'm fine with that. Generally, I'm not opposed to just avoiding these players that are going to miss time. It really restricts you early in the season. if Scott Fishbowl were still happening, I'd suggest drafting him because in a 2022 roster league, you can afford it. But in like your regular 15 to 16 bench or roster size redraft, I usually just avoid drafting players like that. I don't want to tie up the spot. So even if you have an IR spot, that's great. He can go in there. But let's say you have one. Most redraft leagues have one. Anytime someone is out, people forget that. Oh, I can put them in the IR. Oh, but you need to use that IR. Like throughout every week, there are going to be players who are out. You're going to use that IR spot. So you're still restricting your moves, and you got to wait for 4 weeks, and then he might come back. So I'm fine with this take. I'm not someone who feels like I need to draft Taylor. I'm not drafting those running backs anyway. Somehow I ended up with Kenneth Walker and Scott Fishbowl. And, was at RB21. I was fine with that. But it's rare that I think that's the only time this season I've recommended or drafted a running back in that range.
Darby dead zone. Yeah.
Very.
I was just about to mention for you, Tyler, like you kind of mentioned it briefly, but like this situation is different because you see times where players are suspended or injured for a certain amount of weeks. You know they're going to come back after that week. You have no idea when Taylor comes back.
It's a worse suspension.
You have no idea.
It's a worse suspension.
It's Jim,
it is.
It's Jim Irsay's version of a suspension.
Yeah, you just have no idea when he's coming back, and it like he could come back and he could sit out. He could come back and get traded. He can come back.
Yeah, it's like the Le'Veon Bell. It's giving me Le'Veon Bell vibes all over.
It's really scary. Like you just don't know what's going to happen.
I'd rather not draft him. There does come a point at which I would, but all those wide receivers I like would have to be gone. So,
yeah, because he's still a high draft.
25, 26, 27 wide receivers would have to go before I reach into that running back group.
Yeah. He's probably going to be like in the 3rd, 4th round. And
I'll pass.
Yeah.
We have a full PPR Dynasty league. Devonta Smith and Schultz for Travis Kelce. I still have Lamb, Olave, Godwin, Evans, Mooney, etc. and Freiermuth.
I think Smith.
Yeah, the value sets with Smith pretty. I think
Smith is 9 years younger than Kelce.
Yeah, I'd rather have Smith over. Yeah, I'd rather have Smith over Kelce alone. I actually decently like Schultz. I think he could be valuable in the Texans' offense. So it's Smith all day.
Go ahead.
Are we scared of the Cardinals pass catchers?
Scared like they're going to do good?
Scared that they're going to
they're going to suck.
They're going to suck, yeah.
They're going to suck.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. I mean, I still have some hope for Marquise Brown. I still have some hope for Marquise because he's good.
This week that because they traded for Joshua Dobbs, the offense is saved. The offense is saved. Everything is fine.
No, it's not.
Everything is not fine.
Who said that? I did not see any of that.
Hutch, there's no IQ test required to use X. Anyone is allowed to have an X account. As long as you send your $7.99 to Elon Musk, you can have an X account.
You can get priority in the replies too.
I still have some hope for Marquise Brown. He's a really talented wide receiver, and there's gonna be. He's the clear number one, and he's going really late. I think he's fine as a dart throw. I think he's a solid draft pick, but
there's a piece of news we have to talk about that I just saw.
I've heard there's rumors of Marquise Brown possibly
Jackson Smith and Jigba has returned to practice.
Yes, love to see it.
Hard to believe.
Excellent. What's that?
He's definitely not catching balls right now.
Yeah, I don't know how that's possible, but I always said I wasn't as worried about a wrist as I am about a hamstring or a toe. Wrist concerns me less. Once the wrist is fixed, it's fixed. It's not. It's 100%. Whereas a hamstring is not going to be 100% this year.
No,
not if it's as severe. It's never going to be fixed. It's going to recur and be an issue throughout the whole season. Turf toe, same thing. But am I scared? I'm not drafting any of them. So I have Marquise Brown now at wide receiver 34.
I don't know a little bit higher than that. I'm just outside the top 24.
Why? What is there to gain? What is there to gain? That's my problem. Is what is there to gain? What is there to gain that Kyler comes back? I mean, you have to assume Kyler's going to come back because if he's not going to come back, Hollywood Brown with the other quarterbacks is not a top 30 wide receiver at all. I mean, maybe he's top 40. I'm not sure I would rank him in the top 40 with Joshua Dobbs. I just can't. I can't. If I'm getting 200 passing yards a game, I just can't. The offense is so bad. The touchdown equity is so bad. The yardage equity is so bad. You're relying on catches, and those for someone like him, I mean, he's not always a volume monster. So he's just someone I just no thank you. You don't have to invest in every offense. There's not always some offenses are so bad that they don't have an opportunity. And this is one of the worst. This is up there with one of the worst. I mean, everything about the team is bad. It's all bad.
Yeah.
So
the only argument I make, the offense is gonna be bad. The only argument I make is their defense is also horrific, and they're gonna be behind.
It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter because their head coach is completely incompetent. The head coach is completely incompetent. He thinks that it's a competitive advantage not to name his starting quarterback between Joshua Dobbs and Clayton Tune, as if it's going to change the Commanders' game plan. I think it's going to matter.
It's not like it's like the Ohio State.
If you're drafting Hollywood Brown at wide receiver 30, that means in most leagues he's a starter for you. Let's say Clayton Tune, which is what I think is going to happen, is going to start week 1. Are you going to play? You're going to be comfortable playing Hollywood Brown in week 1? I don't think so, right? How are you going to do that?
You usually end up with him as your last flex, if not on your bench. Like, he's usually a player that you can get
if you're ranking him at wide receiver 30, I mean, you said 34 was too low. So
I think I would rank him around like the 25, 28 range.
Yeah, but if you're ranking him there, that means you're drafting him to start. You're drafting him to start week 1.
I mean, in most leagues, that's a
starter.
Well, I think
he's not going to be a starter with Clayton Tune. He's not going to be a starter. Clayton Tune could not be less ready to play an NFL game. He couldn't be. He's not ready. And Joshua Dobbs was on another team 3 days ago. How is he going to prepare in 11 days to learn a new horrific offense with horrific weapons with terrible coaching staff? How is that going to... A what?
It's going to be a high school playbook. Super simplified.
Great. I mean, it's funny that somehow that's an upgrade over Cliff Kingsbury.
Going to run the power eye.
Very interesting.
Just run James Conner
the problem,
the garden center and between the garden center on both
problem
sides.
with Hollywood Brown is that the ceiling is so low.
The ceiling is low. That is the only.
There's
no
point.
That's the thing.
There's no point. Draft someone else.
And like Tyler, I'm like I'm not saying Marquise Brown is the biggest value in drafts either. Like, I think he's fine. I think he's a decent value. I think he's going to beat that ADP. By how much?
Not if Tyler doesn't come back. If Kyler doesn't come back, he's going to be outside the top 40. It's going to be that bad.
I would bet that Kyler comes back.
So, I heard a very, very reliable take on that. And it's saying no.
I just think volume is always king.
Well, Kyler's not going to get it. I think Kyler, if you give me whatever the number is, I'll take the under. On games Kyler plays this year, I'll take under. Whatever it is. Whatever the number is, I'll take under.
0.
Well, then I can't take under 0, but I think it's 0. I'm predicting 0. I actually think Kyler Murray has played his last game for the Cardinals. I don't think he's ever going to play for the Cardinals again.
I don't think they'll play the Cardinals after this year.
Well, there's an issue also with if you look at what's going on in the coaching staff with the Cardinals, a big problem. They don't really want to talk to Kyler Murray. They're not communicating with Kyler Murray. There's so many problems. The other quarterbacks don't want to talk to him. I mean, you could see there's a video. Look at the video of the dirty look that Clayton Tune gave Kyler Murray. It was very bad. We can take a look at that. And then it's very bad. Kyler Murray is not going to play for them ever again. And Caleb Williams will be there. That'll be good. That might solve the problem.
Caleb Williams will
but that's not going to save Hollywood Brown in redraft. In Dynasty, I think Hollywood Brown is a good buy because he didn't become bad. He did not become a bad player. And he's still only 26. He's still good, but not this year. So in Dynasty, people are throwing him away. So I'd buy him. Let's move on to this one. This one is very interesting.
We're back to JT, and I know we keep coming back every other question, it feels like.
No, I absolutely. I think it's what we need to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. What are we paying to acquire JT in Dynasty?
Paying?
I don't want to acquire him at all.
Well,
I've seen. I don't think people are selling him for much. Like, I don't think people are selling him for nothing. I feel like people are still going to hold on to him as a top 5 Dynasty back.
First off, back. Second off, sorry about that. I tried trading for JT today. And they want it's the same value as it was a week ago, which the same value it was a month ago, 3 months ago. I feel like in Dynasty, owners are holding on to him, and it's not getting cheaper. So
yeah, it's not. They're willing to lose the few games. They're willing to lose it because they know he's a superstar and he's still decently young. He's only like 24 years old. He's fine. So in Dynasty, people are going to hold on. I'm not buying.
I just put him on the block.
I don't think it's worth it.
A team that has Jahmyr Gibbs and Breece Hall also.
That's totally fine. I would put him. But
I'm not actually going to trade him. I just want to see what offers I get.
Come in. Yeah. Well, what offer would be okay with you?
Oh, I'm not going to like any offer that I receive because this league is very fucked up.
No, but I'm saying if there was an offer, what would it have to be?
What offer would I need?
A mid 20.
2 first?
No, I want more than that.
An early first,
realistically, probably it's pivoting to a wide receiver, and it would probably be someone like the most likely would probably be Drake London because people don't like him. There are people who don't like him. But other than that, I doubt I'm going to get the offer that I want.
Okay. I think you can get that for JT. I think you can get that. I think that's realistic.
I can try, but unfortunately in that league, I already have Drake London. I already have Drake London, T. Higgins, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, who are the 3 receivers I'm most likely to try to get for him. So that's why I'm telling you I'm not going to move JT in that league.
So, sticking with JT, how do the JT shenanigans impact Anthony Richardson? Is he now the Colts' entire run game?
Ooh, I don't think it helps him.
So bad.
It's not helpful because the offense is not going to go. The offense is not going to go, which is I moved Anthony Richardson down in my rankings.
You should. Yeah, without a run game, it's just going to be a disaster because the only thing you had hoping for Richardson to move the ball forward is that he could hand it to Jonathan Taylor like 27 times a game and he would help move the offense forward. Because Anthony Richardson can't do it himself. He's going to have like a 50% completion. He's going to be terrible. Was he like 6 for 17 in his last game?
Yeah,
in preseason, he's terrible. He's not going to move the offense forward. There's going to be no pieces to move this offense forward. And as a result, it's just terrible.
I think that Anthony Richardson could kind of have a Justin Fields rookie year type situation.
Potentially.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that that's going to help. So, yeah, I moved him down. I mean, the upside's still there, so I don't mind drafting him, but I moved him down a tier among quarterbacks.
Because last year, Fields at least had Montgomery and Herbert, who are 2 solid backs.
Yeah,
you have Evan Hall and Deion Jackson.
Evan Hall
and maybe
Zach
the
Moss.
dead.
Don't forget Zach Moss.
And maybe the corpse of Leonard Fournette or Kareem Hunt. That's what you have.
Leonard Fournette is on the plane. He's on the plane. He's making his move.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like honestly, like I've been actually looking because I picked up Evan Hall in a bunch of leagues. I mean, I've been doing it over the last few weeks because I'm smart like that. But I'm actually trying to trade him away. Because I think I'm trying to trade him specifically to Jonathan Taylor match, especially in home leagues that I'm in. Because
I can't do that because I have both in that one league. Unintentionally, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying
to actually drafted him in Scott Fishbowl.
Yeah, that's a good. That's
I happen to like Evan Hall.
I never loved
his
him.
own.
I thought he was fine. But I never was
pretty good.
Crazy.
I actually thought he was someone who could have been drafted higher.
I did think he was
I thought he was pretty
underrated,
good,
but not insane.
I think he's someone who this is not the best case scenario. I think a better case would have been if he'd gone on a depth chart where he wasn't needed right away and could but had obstacles like Roshan Johnson. Obstacles that could be moved throughout the year.
That's more like
not having to step in week 1 into a big role. So this wasn't my ideal scenario for Evan Hall, but I do think he's good. But I don't know. What do the Colts do? Do they bring in a veteran? Maybe. They have their depth chart is minus JT of injured Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, and Evan Hull is the worst running back room in the league. So
yeah, they're going to bring in somebody, and it's going to completely tank Evan Hall's value in terms of the fantasy.
Tank Evan Hall's value from what? I mean, I have Evan Hall at running back 53.
Desperate JT, no. I want you to reach out because a desperate JT manager is going to be willing to trade a lot for Evan Hall. They're going to be willing to overpay. Because I think
you can try it.
I'm talking with someone in my home league right now
you can try it. But the problem is that I saw on X, we're going to call it X, not Twitter, that I saw people ask this question. If you had JT, which is the running back to roster behind him, I looked. 3 first answers First answer, Evan Hull. Second, Zach Moss. And another person, Deion Jackson. So 3 different people had 3 different answers. So the problem is that I don't anticipate this being, it's not like some scenarios we've had in the past where it's so obvious. Well, the most one I can think of is when Le'Veon Bell was sitting out. You knew James Conner was the guy and there was nobody else, right? There was no choice. It was James Conner. He was the backup and there was literally nobody else. This is not that. I legitimately wouldn't be surprised if Zach Moss led the team in carries week 1, if Deion Jackson led the team in carries week 1, or if Evan Hull led the team in carries week 1. I would not be surprised if any of those, or option, let alone 3 options among the ones you have. Then Leonard Fournette and Kareem Hunt, who, if they signed, could be anything from 1st to 3rd.
Me neither. So, I would not be surprised at any of them either.
We have a newly waived Melvin Gordon out there. Who's
Melvin Gordon is cooked. I think we're done.
No, he's done. Yeah, he's
done. But we're adding. There's so many names here. This feels a lot like when Cam Akers' injury happened a couple years ago, and everyone was throwing out every Rams back on the roster as a potential suitor. And the moral of the story is you wanted none of them.
That's true.
Sonny Michel was good for a while. Actually, he showed up for a while, for like a good 5-6 games.
Like
he showed up for a while.
Like a 12-point game here and there.
He's like a pretty solid Sonny Michel. He had a few RB1 weeks when he was the leader for that backfield. He had a few really solid games.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, Tyler. This backfield is going to be a disaster and a mess. But I think from what I've seen from Twitter, a lot of people are saying Evan Hull season and going for it and just crush Evan Hull.
I haven't
That's
seen
what
the
I've
deals
seen on Twitter personally.
Just haven't seen the deals. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard.
I'll have to
that
say
people are super interested. When it comes to Evan Hull, it's very simple. It's very simple to me. If you can get a second, I'll take it. I'd even be willing to add a 3rd to get a second. If I'm only going to get a 3rd, I'll just keep Hull because I thought he was good. And it's hard. Running backs like that, you take a 3rd, how much of a profit is that? For someone I think is bad, sure, but for someone I think is good, a 3rd is not enough. I need to get it to a 2nd because that's where the real assets are. The real assets in a 12-team league are not in the 3rd. Unless maybe the first couple, but once you get past 303, 304, it's usually that's the cliff of any value, even in the best and deepest classes. So if it's just going to be a 2024 3rd, I'll pass on that. What's the point? The upside is more on keeping Hull, who was an early 4th this year. At least he was for me, but I was high on him from the start. This is a similar answer. Actually, kind of in the same vein. Would you sell Nico Collins for a 24, 4th, and 5th? No, because the contingent value with Collins is higher. If that's a 3rd, Collins to me is a wide receiver. Wide receivers like that are roster cloggers. So in a 10 team, if I could get a 3rd, I'd take it. But a 4th and a 5th, it's just not. Collins has an opportunity. Look, I think he's bad, but he has an opportunity to show that he's good. He's going to be the wide receiver 1 on the team for week 1. Means he has an opportunity to be good. So
he does, yeah.
24, 4th, and 5th just doesn't do it for me.
That same
it's
offer
time
is
to
going to be
start it's time to start the draft. What we're going to do is I'm going to put up the draft in the here. How does that look? Do you want? I think we should be on the bottom. How do I do that? There we go. No, I don't like that. All right, well, whatever. I'll figure it out. But move on to the next question, and then I'll start the draft when I'm ready. There we go.
Hey guys, can I post a link to my fantasy in here?
If we're talking about your OnlyFans, no, only I get to do that.
What? If you're talking like your draft board,
you can post whatever you want in the chat. I mean, it doesn't mean we'll read it, but you can post it. I don't care as long as it's not porn. Post whatever. I mean, I don't
post that in the chat.
If you're looking for people to join your league, this is a pretty good place to find people to join. So
we have 20 some people here. I'm sure a few of them are interested in joining the league.
So
we have a lot of mixed emotions today. A lot of people got cut. A lot of people saw their NFL dreams realized as they made a 53-man roster. Jaleel McLaughlin made the Broncos and looks like the RB3 on the depth chart. And Deneric Prince got waived. Thank you for both guys earlier in the preseason, Tyler.
Well, I mean, one of them didn't pay off, so you're welcome. Jaleel McLaughlin was someone I liked as well. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's a running back who has opportunity. Not a big fan of Samaje Perine, honestly. So there's a path to RB2 potentially if he plays well. He's someone I like.
Is it officially Pacheco season?
All right, I started the draft.
It's looking more and more that way, man. I mean, you have Pacheco and an aging veteran, Jerick McKinnon, and that's it. If Jerick McKinnon really has a big impact,
Clyde
then
Edwards-Helaire is there.
Nah, I'm good.
You know,
It's been like 4 years.
I will say this.
It's just
I
kind
will
of.
say this, and this is gonna sound
I don't think
very
he's gonna be
sad.
super involved. Oh no.
No, you're not gonna like this one. But if Clyde Edwards-Helaire ends up being ahead of Isaiah Pacheco by week 5, I wouldn't be very surprised. We'll see. I think that the Chiefs are going to learn that they don't have their real running back starter on this roster. It's not one of these guys.
Yeah, I would tend to agree that they should probably look elsewhere next year, maybe in the draft or somewhere else. But
I think they have.
Pacheco was the best.
They most of Clyde's money was guaranteed. This is the last year of his rookie contract. Jerick McKinnon, they were able to bring back on a 1-year vet deal. Isaiah Pacheco's on a cheap deal, but next year Clyde and McKinnon will be gone. I don't think either will come back, and I think they'll bring in a kind of guy like, I don't know if there's another Jahmyr Gibbs, but someone who's like a starter who also does well in the passing game to be the starter ahead of Pacheco. Kind of combine Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon into one person and make them
With
better.
that offense, they've never had to really run that stud running back. They've always kind of mixed and matched for utility purposes, and they've been fine.
Not true. Kareem Hunt was that guy, and because of legal issues, he was out of town. But when Kareem Hunt was that guy, he was that guy. There was no committee. He was the star. They ran everything through him. And in 2018, he was absolutely crushing it. What do I do?
You can say set player and set it to a random person.
Oh, I don't know.
Just click on set player on the screen on time's up. Set player. Or let CPU
manual,
auto
though. No,
or let CPU auto pick, yeah.
Do that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
On this draft so far?
No, I
You
mean
see-
not really.
You mean you see McCaffrey falling to 5, which
Jefferson and Chase early. I see
Jefferson,
almost
Chase.
everywhere.
Yep.
Kelsey goes around there. Hill at 4 is probably not what I would have done.
I would have probably picked,
7 are just so good. You could
Garrett
interchange those
Wilson at 8
guys.
is spicy.
Yeah, I was
It
going to
is
say
spicy.
the Garrett Wilson touchdown from Rodgers was special spicy.
Mhm.
I don't care that it was against a third stringer who's not going to be on the team. He threw it right through the guy's hands and made it so he didn't even see him.
Yep.
Let's
It was really good.
let's
really good
go
play.
to the next question.
I'm a top 2 contender in a 10-team superflex. I have Bijan and Gibbs, and
Beautiful.
I'm tempted to sell Jacobs. Is he a
solid.
hold for a contender, or just get out when you can?
Jacobs is a hold.
I think so as well. I mean, like, many people are just like, I feel like he has he's had a fantastic season last year, and he gets another deal with the same team set up for a same workload yet again this season, and with an even more non-mobile quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, who has proven that he's a dump-off quarterback, and it seems like people don't care and that they're not excited for him. And I get the argument. I've seen it a lot that he had 400-plus opportunities last year. Usually running backs with that workload don't do the same next year, but the volume is just set his way so hard this year that I'm willing to bet on him, and a lot of people in Dynasty aren't. So I don't actually.
I think people
think
just
sell
have a bad
think it's a
bad taste in their mouth
from the Raiders in general,
No, just with the whole saga, like,
and
when
the
there's
whole
but
thing
the
with
saga
Jacobs.
is
Yeah,
over.
It is over.
Like, the
Yeah.
saga is over. The contract
Done.
is signed. They gave him more money. They didn't have to. They gave him more money to come back. I have Jacobs in
Mhm.
redraft at RB4, so I have zero concerns.
I'm at RB3 right now. I would take him.
Yeah, I mean, I have Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Bijan 1, 2, 3, and then Jacobs at 4. Next,
I have Jacobs
Yeah.
3, Bijan 4.
Nick, go get your championship. Keep Jacobs on your team.
I have
Yeah,
no issues
I
with
like it.
Jacobs. My only issue with Jacobs is that I was legitimately concerned that he wouldn't show up. But that was
Yeah.
the only
That
problem.
was it.
I don't have an issue. I have more concerns. That's why I have Jacobs at 4 and Barkley at 5. I have more concerns about Saquon Barkley actually playing than I do with playing at a level to be that star fantasy back than I do Josh Jacobs. I am less concerned about Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was better last year. He did not wear down the stretch like Saquon Barkley did.
Oh yeah,
He
Josh
doesn't
Jacobs
have the
was
injury history of
pure
Saquon Barkley.
dominance throughout the entire season.
So I would lean Josh Jacobs over Saquon Barkley between the two. I have Barkley at 5, so it's not like I don't like it.
Castle Sports says he likes the Cardinals coach.
Why? Why?
But I agree, the offense
totally
will be
incompetent.
abysmal.
Yeah, no, it's horrible.
Yeah, Jonathan Gannon is completely incompetent and is going to be one of those coaches where the only thing that got him a good job was his resume, and that's all he has. That's all he has. That's all he is. He's going to be exposed really bad.
Yeah,
The
he's
Cardinals
not good.
might be a historically bad offense this year. Hashtag tank for Caleb.
Wouldn't be shocked by it. Yeah.
I've seen the theories that people go out and that NIL will overpay Caleb to stay at USC.
That's not going to happen.
So you can avoid the
That's
Cardinals. I offered someone Drake London for JT as Tyler suggested and was rejected. No
Oh, well, it
counter.
wasn't me. If it had been me, I would have taken it. But I am like the biggest Drake London believer that I know.
Yeah, Tyler's a pretty big London.
Because that's not that
Oh,
far off
there goes
where like
Jahmyr
it
Gibbs.
doesn't warrant a a counter, right?
Fun.
It's not a
Well,
disrespectful
I would have
offer.
accepted it. I would have just been like, Drake London, great. I love Drake London. So kind of surprised. Maybe I will get it. The problem is, like I said, in the league where I have JT, I already have Drake London. So
Whoever's picked Jahmyr Gibbs, I freaking love you. And love it. I think he's worth that.
So
Honestly,
he's-
I think
He does have a Lions avatar though, so
he does. Yes. Honestly, like.
So
who are the
looking
right-
at this draft
who are
so
the right
far,
backs
I
on-
mean, this
who are
is
the
my
right backs on the
Patriot.
board?
So in case anyone watching doesn't really realize what's going on, this is my Patreon redraft. Like I'm not in it, but I'm
we're not
running
in
it. So I'm the commish of this. It's not a mock draft. They're actually going to play this.
Oh, they are.
Yes,
Oh, I didn't
yes,
know that
this is
part.
not a mock. They are going
Hashtag
to
not
play
mock.
this. I called it a mock because that does better in the YouTube SEO.
Mhm.
But this is not a mock. They're going to play this out.
Yes.
So,
Mark Andrews.
you know, I didn't really look
Great
at
pick.
the format. I just rolled it over from last year. It is a 1 QB.
Mhm.
And I don't, there's no tight end premium or anything like that.
So Taylor. So guys,
It's a
just a
PPR.
question. Taylor round 2. We're no on that, right?
Yeah,
That was
hard
a
enough.
no hard no, right?
Hard.
So hold on, I have a question. Who are the other running backs on the board? Because I did love Jahmyr Gibbs at that pick, but I just want to see like, is there anyone else I'd take over Gibbs? Because I don't think so. He was the night. He was nine.
It would be like
ninth off the board.
ETN, Ramondre, Brees Hall.
Yeah, no, I'm taking Gibbs over all those guys.
Yeah. I would,
Gibbs is number 9 off the board in this draft, and I think that's where I'd have him ranked.
I have Ramondre over Gibbs, but that's
No, not with Zeke there now.
I don't know if I like
I wouldn't
the
with
reason
Zeke
I have
either.
Ramondre over Gibbs is that Ramondre, we know, handled the workload last year, and Montgomery is a lot more scary to me than Zeke.
Yeah, but the difference is
Watch.
where they're getting the work because we know Gibbs is going to be an elite pass catcher in the offense. I think he can catch 80 passes this year very easily. Easily catch 80 passes this year. I think that's a very realistic outcome for him. Ramondre Stevenson,
Yeah.
however, on the other hand, Stevenson is apparently, according to most camp reports that I've seen, Zeke is taking a lot of pass catcher work. He's also taking a lot of goal line work. And if you get both those things, it's both the most valuable touches in the offense, and that's extremely scary. Gibbs is not going to be a goal line back. I understand that. But he's at least getting tons of pass catching work, and he's going to be a dump off machine.
Problem is, if you don't get the
They
goal
need
line
receiving
touches,
help.
it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I've been a really big believer in Gibbs since like March. I really, really love Gibbs.
He's always been
For
my guy, yeah.
redraft,
Always been
I
my guy.
just kind of feel like he's getting, I don't know, with some of the receivers on the board and stuff, I'd probably go that direction.
I mean, I have Gibbs at 11. It's not like I hate him.
No, I don't hate him by any means. I feel like
I've got him at 9.
he's getting drafted very high in redraft. It just surprises me a little bit. I think there's a world where he's not as relevant as people think as a rookie. I think he's going to have a role. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the only player I would have taken that was taken after Gibbs before him was Stevenson.
Yep. Yeah, I just don't like.
Andrews, but that manager already took Kelsey. I would have taken Andrews above Gibbs.
I would take
Andrews.
Andrews
is more likely to be a difference maker.
Andrews is the only player
I think I'm more likely to find another, what I would say, low end RB1 than I am to. There's not going to be
another Mark Andrews.
I don't think.
Yeah, Andrews, because Andrews is closer to the Kelsey tier than he is to the rest.
I'd say he's actually about almost exactly halfway in between. Like almost exactly halfway in between. I mean, I have
he's definitely in his own tier.
Yeah,
he's
I have
him
almost
I just think he's
in
closer.
between.
He's in his own tier, but I think he's closer.
Kelsey, I would say, mid first. Andrews, usually, right around that.
I'd say late two
Gibbs
is better.
Pick 210 would have been for me
210.
for Andrews, and then the other guys, I consider Waller, who I now have at 3 in the. Certainly not. It's probably the mid fourth. So right about halfway in between.
So I'm not a zero running back guy, but I got to tell you, I love the team that has Jefferson, Andrews, and Mahomes right now. I feel like you could really.
I do not.
I think
you get so far behind the 8 ball because you have to start.
He is, yeah.
In this league, you got to start 3 flex, 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. That's a lot.
I would have taken probably Devontae Smith over Mahomes.
So I would have taken a T. Higgins over Mahomes, but it's the same idea.
Yeah,
or
I
would have taken Ramondre Stevenson.
Okay, I would take Smith.
One thing I've never been in on, and this has not changed, is going quarterback early. I've never been in on that. Never.
I tend to agree. I usually don't go quarterback early.
That team.
The first 3 I tend not to go for, but I do like Fields and Lamar and like
I'm
the
looking
4th
at the
and 5th round,
teams and looking at what I like. I see a lot of teams have a couple picks I like. Like, for example, team 2. I like Chase and Stevenson, but not Taylor. Team 3, I kind of like that start, but it's a little risky with no wide receivers. Teams 4 and 5, I like those starts a lot. That 1 anchor running back and then 2 wide receivers I'm confident in.
I love McCaffrey, Waddle,
I think
Smith.
Team 5 got a little bit better value.
I love Spence.
I like how Team 9 looks.
Shout out Spence.
I probably wouldn't have gone Josh Allen, but I'd have hoped that Ridley would have fallen there.
The Bijan, Jacobs, and Allen is nice. That's
Team 12 got that maybe not would have been whoever. Team 12
them and they were like, no.
Yeah, Team 12 got off to a very good start. I think getting Barkley and Chubb at the turn is about as good as you could ask for.
I think Team 12 saved themselves from getting screwed over by teams 10 and 11 going into each turn, where they could have really wrecked what he had planned by forcing him to take guys lower in their in the positional rankings just to fill out the roster.
I'm trying to think of that's my team I absolutely despise.
And that's my fear out of Team 1.
Try to find that team. Yeah, I don't think there's
a team 2 can really manipulate the board and saying, okay, I'm going to force you to keep
right now. Team 2 is by far my least favorite.
Yeah,
because that JT pick is so bad that it doesn't matter that I like the other 2 picks. It's just the JT pick is so brutal.
I don't like Stevenson.
I did update my redraft ranks before this show went live, so all the patrons can see it. But I don't do overall ranks, so they still have to decide between the positions. And I banned them from asking me for help for this league.
So, quick question from Scribbles. What's your best strategy for trading with what we would call tough traders?
What's the definition of a tough trader?
Someone who thinks winning is fun and who doesn't actually think trading is fun. Like me.
Somebody who doesn't like to trade.
No, it's mostly
anything.
People who have to win trades, like yours truly.
Yeah, me. I'm one of those people.
Who don't just make trades for fun.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. So I feel so bad.
Twitter activity says otherwise.
My Twitter?
Yes. You seem more into fun than me. I'm like literally no fun.
I like trading, but I feel like I want
to make some
win
threads about did I overpay? I thought I overpaid, stuff like that. Yeah, I needed to get my guy. I've seen that from you.
Yeah, I've seen that a little.
It has occurred. It's there. We can go find it if we need.
Oh yeah, there's a couple times where I've done that, but I think
I never do that.
But I think I'm winning the trade. I'm fine. I'm okay if I'm really going.
I'll only do the trade if I'm winning it both in my mind and by the market. Because I want the market value too. That's why I'm difficult to trade with, because I have to win twice for me to want to do it.
I'm reminded
most of my trades are someone being the get their guy trading with me, where I'm getting the market side, the market winning side, and they're getting the get their guy side. That's 90% of the trades that I do. Or dumping assets I don't want for thirds and fourths. In addition, that's another type of trade I often do.
So I'm going to ask you guys a quick question before we read this. Break down, or let me just ask you, who do you think were the top 5 wide receivers in PPR the last third of the season? Jefferson Brown.
Jeudy.
It was Jefferson Brown. It was Smith. Smith was top 5 down there as well, wasn't he?
Smith was 5. That's a good one. CeeDee Lamb was 4. You know who 3 was?
Christian Watson.
No.
That's a good guess.
Keenan frickin' Allen. Keenan frickin' Allen was the 3rd.
He was 3.
I had no idea. I was looking at it last night during the draft.
That surprised me.
I thought he was like 10. I didn't know he was all the way up there.
Keenan Allen worries me because it's the kind of thing where, like, yes, he was still good down the stretch, but you're beating the odds. Like at 31, you're already beating.
Yes, you're behind.
Usually when we go from 30 to 31, 31 is when I say the odds are against you, no matter what. And unless most players, if you look at their career trajectories, outside of your Jerry Rice or a couple like him, it's 30, still good. 31, huge decline. 32, finished. That's most of the time. Most players are like that. 31 is that tough age to crack. So I just cannot rank Keenan Allen higher than, I have him at 15, and I don't even like that. I don't even like that because
15
feels
15 to 20 is fair.
Yeah, that feels like the risk is all on the downward side.
Yeah, his upside is not very high.
At the end of the day, I do not think Keenan Allen is an all. I mean, these are great receivers. You know, great. Like Andre Johnson, 31, finished. You know, who is Andre Johnson really a worse player than Keenan Allen? Probably not. I mean, Vincent Jackson, another one. But there's so many. I mean, Julio Jones.
Yeah, Julio.
31 were in decline. 32 totally finished. I mean,
hamstrings for Julio, man. It was his hamstrings.
Keenan Allen is not a paragon of health either.
No, for sure. You're not wrong.
He's not I mean, he was injured last year. I'm not saying I'm worried about an injury. I'm just saying he's not. There are some players where you can dismiss the age because they're Hall of Famers. I mean, or not even Hall of Famers, but like you got to be more than that. You got to be an all-time great. With Travis Kelce, I'm willing to just, no tight end is done at 33, 34. But at some point, you have to say that this player is different. I don't think Keenan Allen is different. He's not different. There have been players like him.
Hey, Tyler, can you move down the players available tab so that way we
players available? What
if you hit the arrow right to the right?
To
the right.
Yeah,
you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Guess we don't need.
Another question: How do you guys feel about? It's the team with Darren Waller, team 8 with
team 8.
Olave.
Let's look at team number 8.
Olave, Ridley, because I'm not like the craziest Ridley fan. I think his ADP is a tad high for the risk he carries, but I love Waller. I like Waller on the 4th. I think that's fine.
Yeah,
and Olave is a great start.
If I had to pick my least favorite team, team 8 is probably currently my least favorite.
Really? I mean,
because I don't like any of the first 3 picks that team 8 made. I don't like Garrett Wilson at that value. I like Garrett Wilson, but not at that value.
Yeah.
I do not like Chris Olave at that value at all. And I don't like Calvin Ridley in the 3rd. Darren Waller, where he was picked, is fine. That's about fair. but
Yeah,
it's
they're all
one pick
reaching.
that's fair and 3 that I dislike. So that's probably my least favorite team. So far.
Even the Darren Waller pick is still almost a half round early.
I'm okay with that one. Not compared to ADP, but I'm okay with that pick actually, based on the value. But the other 3 are reaches.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that team is a lot of upside though. I mean, you have the 2 second-year wide receivers, and then you have Ridley who could bounce back. Like that's you have so much potential there with that team. But I agree, they're all reaches.
That potential is already baked into that cost.
It is, yeah.
I'm looking at other ones. Team 5 looks very good.
Yeah, I love Team 5 right now.
Yeah, they're excellent.
Depends.
I would have rather taken. I'll just say I'd rather taken DJ Moore over Drake London, but otherwise
I'd rather have
I'd rather have DJ Moore personally.
I have almost no complaint.
I don't have a complaint with that team. Fine.
I believe Team 5 has taken the player I would have taken all 5 times. As in, I would have made the selection. If I were running Team 5, I would have the same team as Team 5.
Spence in the chat. You like that, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those are the picks I would have made. I don't think there's any I would have disagreed with yet.
I would take DJ Moore over Drake, but that's it. But that's a pretty close call. So I'm
not a big fan of DJ Moore.
So Scribbles asked about a little bit ago. Isaiah Pacheco for Pat Fryermuth and tight end premium. It's easy. It's easy. Yeah. There. You know how we feel about Pacheco on this channel and on this show.
Not good. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Let's catch up some chat real quick while the draft gets another round or 200 spelt. 12-team 1 QB, start 8. Give Javonte, J-Mo, and a 24 first. Get McCaffrey. It's start 8, so...
Yeah, I generally just don't prefer to do things like this. I mean, I'll give up a 24 first for McCaffrey, but Javonte's been looking better. And J-Mo, I don't like at all. It's fine. I've seen worse.
Montgomery or Darren Waller and AJ Dillon?
Waller and Dillon for me, yeah. Because I like Waller.
I want Waller over Montgomery and Dillon. So
yep,
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
We haven't really heard much about Rashad Bateman lately.
He's back in practice. He's back in practice, but the reason we haven't heard about him is because Zay Flowers is the one. Zay Flowers is the one.
He's taking over everything.
Yeah, that's happened already. So now it's a question of who is the 2 between Bateman and OBJ, but the 2's not going to be valuable. Actually, from recent reports, OBJ has been quiet, not good. So I'm leaning that it's going to be Bateman, but Bateman at wide receiver 49 draft.
He does seem banged up. He didn't practice yesterday, so he is banged up.
He's going to play week 1. OBJ has just been he had some initial buzz at the start, but it's kind of dying. Zay Flowers is their guy. For sure.
Yeah, Zay looks good.
Tyler, I did message you, but I actually got to hop out, guys. I got to go. But it was fun drafting with you. It was fun talking with you all. I will hopefully see you next week.
How'd you get some sleep before school?
No, I have a church Zoom meeting I got to be on for a bit, so I got to go. All
right.
Go.
Yeah.
DTR, Dynasty value? Does he actually end up starting a game this season?
I mean, if Deshaun Watson gets hurt, then yeah. But no, otherwise, no.
I traded him at the peak, after he had that really big preseason game. I got a 2nd-round pick for him in a 14-team league. I was like, thank you. I'll take it.
Yep.
I love that. That's not the norm.
We endorse those trades here.
Yeah,
yes, we do.
I would have sent a 3rd with him to get that 2nd. I like that.
I'm not a big fan of DTR.
Hey, Tyler. Although you are normally right, you were wrong about Boutte making the roster. Worth a stash over DTR or Albert O in a 12-team Superflex?
I mean, he is their wide receiver 6 on their depth chart. So if the roster had been made at the time I said it, he wouldn't have made the roster. The reason he made the roster is because The Patriots' other tight ends were so bad that they chose to keep 6 wide receivers and only 2 tight ends.
They kept 6 wide receivers because they only have 1 quarterback on the roster.
Oh, that's also true. They also kept 1 quarterback.
Yeah.
Kayshon Boutte, at this point, Juju is their number 1. Devontae Parker is their 2. And their 3 is Kendrick Bourne. Demario Douglas is 4. And then it's a competition between Tyquan Thornton and Kayshon Boutte for 5. And I think Tyquan Thornton is leading. So, yes, but at the end of the day, I'm probably not going to hold 6 wide receivers from the Patriots for very long. So between Boutte and Thornton, who's ever not active for week 1 is probably going to go.
Out of the names he listed there, would you take him over either of them, Albert O or DTR?
Albert O. But what is there with Albert O? I mean, I did put him on the list. It was traded to Eagles. Albert O has not been on Dynasty rosters for me for a year. So
yeah,
maybe not a year, but he hasn't been on my rosters this offseason. He has not been rostered for me. So not Albert O. In a 12-team Superflex, I'd rather have DTR. I think you're more likely to get something out of DTR than you are out of Boutte.
All right, you're going to lob up the softball. I took Travis Kelce. He's my first pick at number 6. 12-team full PR. What do you think?
It's great.
Yeah, I like the value.
Great. I mean, it's fine. For me, Jefferson and Chase are clear 1 and 2. Then at 3, right now I'm leaning toward McCaffrey. And then 4, 5, and 6 are a combination of Kelce, Eckler, and Bijan. So,
yeah, I like him there.
Works.
So we got Trevor Lawrence or Travis Etienne and Jalen Waddle in Superflex Dynasty.
Lawrence, easily. Those top quarterbacks are not worth buying prices. Even if on paper via the rounds it's worth the trade down, it's not in this case.
Yeah.
Travis Etienne is someone I dislike. Out on Travis Etienne.
I would for sure want to get a quarterback back as well I'd rather down tier. If I'm
trading someone like Trevor Lawrence, I need an overpay, and this is not an overpay. If that said, Jalen Waddle, and it's not that I need a quarterback back. It just has to be an overpay. Like, if it was Jalen Waddle and Drake London, I'd think about it. Because then the value's over, and it's just, can you afford it? But Etienne and Waddle, no. The value.
Yeah, I'm taking Lawrence by a mile in that super
That
flex.
was not hard.
All right, I have Deshaun Watson, CMC, Kenneth Walker III, Amon-Ra, Amari Cooper, TJ Hawkinson, Sutton, Drake London, Pittman, Jamal Williams, Khalil Herbert, Gabe Davis, Elijah Mitchell.
None of it matters.
Do I hold
or sell JT? None of that. No, the rest doesn't matter. With JT, it's very simple. If JT being out for 4 weeks tanks your team, then you weren't really probably strong enough for a contender in the first place. And do you hold or sell JT? It really depends on, are people willing to pay something? Someone like Spence, who was here before, thinks he's buying low and is paying Drake London for JT, then yes, I will sell him for Drake London, who I think is going to smash right out the bat, and you're not going to be able to get that done later. So in that case, yes. If you cannot get that kind of return, then you have to hold him, because there are some leagues where people just don't want to deal with players like this. You can't get any return. Then I'm not going to sell JT for peanuts. There isn't, like, Christian McCaffrey missed 2 seasons, is now 27, and is a first-round startup pick in 1 QB leagues. So someone who's shown elite level talent, I'm not saying that, JT showed what Christian McCaffrey showed in his 1 best year, but he was the RB1 in a year. And is much younger than 27. In 3 years, he will be 27. So I'm just saying, you got to get something really good. You can't just sell JT to sell JT because you don't like him. You have to get something in return. And in most leagues, I find that people just like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. I'm not dealing with that. If I can way underpay and get him, I'll do it. But I'm not dealing with it. That's most people's attitude. So then I'm not going to sell him. That's my answer.
That's a good reminder that dynasty rosters are worth what you put into it and the energy that you put into trading. You can take a team that's bottom of the league
Well, it's not just
falling
about that.
apart. And
It's
you
not
can
just about that. Some
be
people
patient with the trades.
Yeah, but some people also just have an attitude, and it's not unfair. I understand this attitude. I just don't want to deal. If you're someone who says, I just don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this scenario. I don't want to trade for JT. I'm not going to pay anything near market or anywhere near it. I just don't want to trade myself into that scenario. I don't have a problem with that strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are in a league with 11 people who think that way, and those leagues exist, you won't be trading JT. You'll be holding on to him. That's simple.
What do we think about this little wide receiver run followed by a running back run?
Let's take a look at that. So some of these are interesting. I like. I mean, what teams haven't we talked about much? Team 6. We haven't talked about Team 6 very much. Oh, we gotta. I guess let CPU auto pick, right?
Yep.
Nothing else I can do. Oh, Cook and Cook right next to each other. Let's see. Team 6. Let's look at Team 6. So I kind of like the start of Team 6, and then things got kind of off the rails.
Yeah.
It's not the worst.
It's not the word. There's nothing to like really hate on, but there's nothing to get super excited about. It's steady
Tyler
Eddie.
Lockett's not my favorite.
I'm not a huge fan of the Debo pick. I'd rather have had like a DJ Moore or Christian Watson.
Or Drake London.
Or Drake London. Like, of that little mini wide receiver grouping there, I think he got the worst one despite picking first.
Yeah, I don't think he got the worst one. I think he got the second best, but Drake London would have been the best to me.
Sanders is pretty. I like the Sanders value.
I like
don't like the
Debo a lot
Madison pick.
more now that Trey Lance going in is not possible. I like Debo a lot more now that is just not possible because Trey Lance going in would have hurt Debo the most because the running would have taken away from Debo's short area stuff. The offense would have changed. Trey Lance not existing makes me a lot more comfortable drafting Debo Samuel than I was before. So that's something that. So I'm a lot happier with the pick than I would have been 2 weeks ago. But the Tyler Lockett pick's not my favorite, but especially now with JSN looking healthier. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, it's an interesting draft.
I like Team 3 until the Jeudy pick.
Team 11 is interesting.
I've been noting Team 11 on the side for me. I really liked the start. I think Evans is, as low of a value as you're going to get him.
Yeah. I will say, though, right now, I think if I had to choose my favorite team, it was Team 5, but not a big fan of the last 2 picks, especially Hopkins. So now
I like the Hopkins pick.
I'm starting to. I don't hate it, but I'm starting to get a little nervous. I guess it's not the worst. And
I like the Kamara pick. I know he's going to miss games, but
Team 4 is looking good to me.
I like
Team 4.
And I think Spence can pull it around with and cover Kamara's suspension pretty well.
Yeah.
I think he's got a couple of guys in mind.
Teams 4 and 5 are my favorite right now for sure. Burrow, let's talk about quarterback early. You could have had, and this is why I'm not a big fan of Team 1. You could have Mahomes at 301 or Burrow at 609. I don't think that's a hard choice. Burrow at 609 is a better value than Mahomes at 301. And it's not close. A lot of the teams that pick quarterbacks super early, I'm not very high on. Team 12, Fields at 401 just seems too early. I'm not a big fan of that. But Team 12 did very well with their 8th round pick just now. If JSN is really practicing now, then JSN at 801 is one of the best picks in the draft.
Yep.
So we'll see. I will say most teams there's no team where I'm just like the whole thing is terrible. Outside of maybe Team 8. Team 8 is the closest to just, this is just so bad that I can't say anything good about it. But all the other ones have at least
they're almost drafting like it was a dynasty, like
a little, one QB dynasty startup. I was gonna say, but then Ridley and Waller that early.
I don't mind the Ridley pick. I really don't mind the Ridley pick.
They just made a good pick. Tank Bigsby's a good pick there.
That's what I want to see. I don't like it in a vacuum, but I want to see how it shapes up because I feel like they've set themselves up with really strong receivers. The value at the picks aren't there, but when you start breaking down the overall roster, I actually kind of like it with how many wide receivers you could potentially start here. So,
yeah.
So back to the Patriots.
I agree. I agree with this. I agree. I didn't move Ramondre that far down. Also, the fact that the Patriots cut all their other running backs tells me that we might finally get a 2-back committee instead of 3. I have Ramondre at 10.
Or we might see some of those 6 wide receivers make some plays in the backfield.
Once again, with the tight end values, if I had to choose, would I rather take Darren Waller at 405 or Evan Ingram at 807? I'd probably rather take Evan Ingram at 807. But they're both about right. The tight ends are about right. I mean, Waller at 405 is about right. And then Hawk at 505 is about right. Goddard and Kittle in that mid-6 is about right. It's a little early for me. And Ingram starting the next group at 807 is about right. So, yeah, no real complaints so far.
Dustin
I like Kittle or they got him.
Dustin won this league last year.
Which team is Dustin's?
1.
Team 1? Okay. There's no besmirching the champ in the stream.
Man, I really got to tell you, I'm not a fan of anything that Team 1 has done.
And I kind of like it. It's, I don't know. I kind of don't hate it.
McLaurin, no, not a fan. Connor, I like at 6'12" is a value. That is a value.
Yes.
That's the first. Yeah. Other than Jefferson, and it was going very well, and then 3 through 5 I really dislike, and then 6 got it back on track.
So Louis G says, I just traded Pollard and Dotson for JT in a second in Dynasty last Friday. He's kind of feeling down about that.
I'd still lean JT, but it's close.
Yeah. I like the JT
reasonable.
side.
Before it was easily the JT side. Now it's fair. If that trade came across, I wouldn't think much of it.
Mm-hmm. And he has another follow-up question. Waddle or Olave in Dynasty, and is it close?
It's very close. I have them back-to-back. I have Waddle 1 spot ahead because I feel like Waddle is a little bit more proven that he's really an elite talent. Olave is a maybe elite talent still to me.
I'm laughing because that's exactly where I have him. Waddle and then Olave right back-to-back. Same boat.
Yeah, I just have slightly more confidence in Waddle. If I'd seen just a little more from Olave, I'd have him higher. But I have Olave very high. I have him at wide receiver 8.
It's interesting in this draft, actually, if you look where Olave, I mean, it's the same team too, but like the difference between Olave and Jahan Dotson, that's a lot of rounds. I don't know that it's that much of a
big fan of Jahan Dotson.
Me too.
Yeah. Jahan Dotson is rising in my rankings as Terry McLaurin is falling.
Didn't you ask on the show sheet if Jahan Dotson's going to pass Terry McLaurin soon?
I didn't write that.
I feel like someone.
Yeah, I wrote nothing in the preseason takes. I was busy working in the intro segments and news.
I was asking, do you think Dotson can take McLaurin in the short term?
In terms of redraft?
This year, yeah. I think that sounds like.
Only if McLaurin is severely hampered by the toe. Otherwise,
I believe that too. The only thing as a Commanders fan paying attention to training camp, Dotson and Howell do seem to have a more consistent connection at practice, even before the toe. So that's the only thing that's kind of making it interesting. I feel like Dotson's finally getting a lot of buzz in the fantasy community the last couple of weeks, and
I drafted him at wide receiver 40 in Scott Fishbowl, so I've been there.
Yeah, I got him too in Fishbowl.
Yeah, I've been there the whole time. I would say though, the toe is the reason for the rankings change, not any other reason. Yep. Toe's scary. People are dismissing it, but you really shouldn't. They're saying, no, it wasn't turf toe. Yes, it was. It was totally turf toe. The problem
definitely
is
turf toe.
The people are dismissing it because they say it was mild. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as mild turf toe. That doesn't exist. And it's just, I think people underestimate turf toe because it doesn't sound bad, but it is really bad. The problem is that the toe bending in that way affects the acceleration. You cannot push off the line. If you can't push off, that means you don't separate.
It's excruciating pain when you try. Excruciating.
You can't push out of the line. You can't push out of your breaks. It hampers wide receivers. And people are saying, oh, it's not a problem. It is a big problem. It is a big problem, especially for someone like Terry McLaurin, who's not elite. Terry McLaurin is not elite. If it were Devontae Adams, I would say I don't care, because Devontae Adams is elite. He'll find a way to win. Terry McLaurin is not elite. So I am concerned. I am very concerned, especially with an inexperienced quarterback. If you're not separating and you can't push out of the breaks and get the same kind of separation, be as open with Turf. I'm very concerned off the bat. And if Dotson looks good, does he get a bigger role in the offense? Potentially.
To keep in mind, even for elite wide receivers, you mentioned Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams suffered a season with turf toe a couple years ago. It was the last time he had a season under 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Was that 2019?
Yeah.
Was that the lack of Rodgers year?
No, I don't think so.
I think Rodgers didn't play a full season that year. The one where,
but in 2019, Devontae Adams only played 12 games, so he still averaged 83 yards per game.
And he was he missed that time due to the turf toe.
Sure,
as well.
But I don't think anyone thinks Terry McLaurin is going to miss time, so he's not going to miss time. The question is, how hampered is he going to be when he plays? Because I don't think we really have to worry about him missing time. I'm confident Terry McLaurin's going to play week 1. The problem is he going to be hampered?
Here's the thing with turf toe. If you have a really good point, turf toe, if you rush back from turf toe, that thing's just going to reinflame. It's going to bother you the whole season. If I'm a McLaurin owner, and as a Commanders fan, I actually want them to sit him the first 2 weeks and just let it be 100%.
Well, they might want that, but that's not going to happen.
Rodgers played that whole season, by the way.
Yeah, but Adams missed games. 83 yards a game is good. 83 yards a game is still good. But it is a decline. It's important to note that that's a decline of his regular performance. But it's telling that over a 17-game season, the yardage per game would still prorate to 1,400 yards.
Yeah.
So it's a decline for Devontae Adams, but a decline is still very good. But it is important to note his yards per game was the lowest among the surrounding seasons. So it did affect him. Problem is, for someone who's not elite, it's going to affect them more, and you're starting from lower to begin with. So if it affects 15% instead of 10, and you're starting from lower to start with, is that enough to push him outside of wide receiver 2 range? Maybe. Because I didn't have him that high anyway. I had him at like 21 or 22.
I have a gut feeling, just from stuff I've been reading, that they're going to be cautious with it. I really do think they feel like they can beat the Cardinals without him. I think they end up sitting him just that 1 week, and then he ends up coming back against them.
You know how it works in the NFL, though. You know, you sit 1 week, and then Wally Pipp can come out. It's tough.
Ron Rivera might think that they are still in contention for a playoff spot.
Oh my God.
I like that.
Ron Rivera. I'll take whatever the odds are on him to be the first coach fired. I'll take that bet.
I didn't realize how good Sam Howell was sitting on my bench for the first 17 weeks of the season.
I did not realize how good the player I'm coaching was.
And that was drafted under my regime.
Say? Like, it's the kind of thing where even if that's true, why say that? Why would you?
He said a couple things this offseason that you're just like, why? Why would you even bring it up?
Do you guys see what Kelly Stafford said about Matt Stafford?
That was bad too. How
he doesn't connect with the younger players and has to have a set of
how was your weekend?
Yeah,
a set of flashcards to know who they are. He doesn't know who Puka Nacua is. I'm sure of it.
He doesn't.
All right.
Now, I'm going to say that's the one young guy he does know.
12-team, 1 QB, start 8. Give Deontay Johnson and Miles Sanders and get a 24 first.
24 first.
Man. Yeah, 24 first, I guess.
If you get that pick 1 or pick 2, you're getting either Marvin Harrison Jr. or you're getting Brock Bowers.
Yeah. I wish it didn't cost so much in 1 QB, but I get it. Oh.
Just traded J-Mo for Burks. What y'all think?
Burks easily. Burks is going to play week 1. Mm-hmm. He was back to practice.
Yeah, he practiced, and he looked good, they said.
Yeah,
That was surprising.
Burks, in terms of with all these injuries, Burks is definitely going to play week 1. Terry McLaurin, I'm confident, but not definite, is going to play week 1. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I find hard to believe, but I guess it's possible. Jerry Jeudy, I think it's more likely Jerry Jeudy misses 4 weeks than plays week 1.
I think I read 6 this week they were projecting.
And now people are saying it could be up to 8. Jerry Jeudy is do not draft for me because I didn't like him that much to start with. I didn't like him that much to start with. So the discount I'd need for Jerry Jeudy is so much that I have Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver 42. I'm totally out.
12-team, 1 QB, half-point PPR. A 25-second or Nico Collins, Penny, and Gainwell.
25-second.
Give me the
Give
me the 25-second and 3 roster spots.
Yeah, I'll try to fill those roster spots with something else.
Definitely. Yep.
Ye of little faith. I would have more faith if you didn't pick Kadarius Toney with your last pick.
How many Chiefs does he need?
I don't know.
I kind of really like his team.
He likes red jerseys.
I will say,
red
the
and purple.
people in the Patreon said they wanted the live roast. I don't know if they still feel that way.
Is this team all red and purple? Yeah. It's all Ravens, Cardinals, Chiefs, and Vikings.
Commanders, yeah. Red and purple. That's going to get in his head for the next pick, though.
He's gonna be staring down those guys and going, damn, St. Patrick caught me with all those red and purple jerseys.
Dude, I kind of like Dustin Ross's team. I know Tyler doesn't like it. It's one of my favorites of the league right now. Oh, I like the Mingo pick, especially in round 10.
Yes. Oh, I love that there. Are you decent with IDP, Ryan?
I am not. I've actually never played an IDP league. I've played fantasy football since 1995. I've never played in an IDP league.
Right. We will let Tyler get to that later and see how we want to respond to that. But a Dynasty Superflex, Trevor Lawrence in a 24-second or Pollard, London, and Dotson?
So this is where Tyler was saying, you got to have that overpay for Lawrence. This is getting close to that for me.
I don't want to send that second with it.
Yeah,
if I'm sending Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's probably the most even we've seen.
I can find another Dotson. I'm not worried about that. Pollard's gonna give me what, 1-2 more years? I think he's overpriced right now and overvalued.
Yeah, I think to your point, if you took the second out of this, I think that's a probably better deal. I'd want to keep Lawrence in the second, but this is getting closer with someone trying to overpay. But the second, yeah. Now let me ask you, Tyler, if you took the second out of that, what side do you like? Is that getting close to your overpay?
No.
Also, Spencer says Lawrence not even close. Yeah. Tyler, how are you feeling about IDP? I know you don't have IDP rankings, but a 10-team IDP Dynasty League. First 3 picks are Bijan, Herbert, Gibbs. Who's my next pick? Wide receiver or running back?
I hate IDP because the people who like IDP are so obnoxious. Your regular fantasy football is not real fantasy football. You don't play with defense. It's not real. Ugh. So because of that horrific attitude, I, out of spite, will never play IDP. However, I don't know. I mean, I guess this is a super flex.
First 3 picks.
Well, you're doing very well. You're doing very well if that's your start, right? I mean, isn't that a great start?
If it's super flex, yes.
He says I don't even like it. I just joined it.
Find a new Dynasty League. Quit while you still can. I don't know who the next pick is. Who's available? Give me some choices. I don't know who's available. Who am I picking from?
Oh, those are your first. Okay, I thought those
I
were
was
like a
like,
rookie draft.
Who is available? Like, we don't worry about position. We worry about value. But who's available? Give me some options. Let's move on to the next question.
We did this one. Can Swift finish top 15 running back if he catches 60 balls?
If he catches 60 balls, I think yes. I just don't think he's going to catch
on the ground.
Here's the problem. The Eagles also had, I think it was like the lowest in the league, and it was under 3 targets per game to their running backs. So
he caught 48 in 14 games last year, which would basically pace to that 60. And he still was nowhere near it. So I'm going to say, no, he's not going to catch 60 balls, and even if he did, I'm still saying no.
I'm going to say if he catches 60, he ends up top 15 just because of that target analysis where most guys that get 4 targets a game and 100 touches end up top 15 or 20 backs. And if you get 6+ targets, which I think he would need to get 60 balls, then yeah.
But last year he had 99 carries. He had 7.1 attempts per game. You're not going to be top 15 if that's all you get. 60 is not enough. 60 is not that many.
Joshua says, I was too fast to click on Johnston. Up against the clock after taking Allen, but was able to snag JSN.
Yeah, I mean, given that the recent changes and things, I think I would have taken Burks and JSN there. But JSN might have been one of my 2. I'm kind of debating. I need to see. I'm going to do a rankings update and see how at practice he really is.
So Kevin's got some answers for us. So some of the players available. We have JT, Hall, ETN, Henry, Pollard, Devontae Smith, Higgins, London, Samuel, Ridley. For some reason, I thought he was meaning Curtis Samuel, and that's what threw me off there while reading that. Like, that makes no sense. Nope,
I'm a Commanders fan, and I didn't even think that.
We got Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Pitts, Kittle.
So in terms of who to pick,
to add
Dynasty,
Bijan, Herbert, Gibbs.
Hall looks good to me.
I'll go with Hall.
Go back to running backs real quick.
It was Taylor, Hall, ETN, Henry, Pollard.
Yeah, I'll take Hall. It's strange that Hall is still there to me. I'll take Hall.
I'm starting to like the Tank Dell picks. I know he's going to be the most random outlier, but there just seems to be a lot of connection going back to the Senior Bowl between him and Stroud. So
yeah, I'll pass on Tank Dell in redraft. Tank Dell is not going to even. I mean, Tank Dell is not going to play week 1 at all. And if I'm taking a player like that, is a 16 spot league. I need to know if I have something week 1, and I am not going to know because he's not going to get on the field. I mean, their starting wide receiver set is Robert Woods, Noah Brown, and Nico Collins.
I think he's going to overtake those guys, though. I think Dell's going to carve out a role.
I can't wait that long.
Yeah.
And if I'm taking a late round pick in redraft, in Dynasty, sure, but in redraft, I can't wait. You can't wait. You're going to need to make waiver moves on week 1. I can't hang on to Tank Dell, whose upside is what? Wide receiver 40. Here.
Yeah, it's probably.
It's his upside. Waste of a pick. Waste of time. I cannot
Let
Tank Dell.
me ask you.
I have Tank Dell at very low. I have him at 81. So I redraft. No, thank you.
The round 11 here in this draft that just happened with Laporta through Mooney.
Yes.
Love the Laporta pick. I actually really like.
I like Kincaid better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love both. Kincaid's an even better value.
Oh, I missed that. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Kincaid's even better.
That's
But both
fantastic.
are great. Yeah, both are great.
Jalen Warren, I like at this point too, because he seems to be getting more and more buzz. And as a Najee Harris truther, I'm starting to get a little nervous. Gainwell looks like he's getting a lot of care. Yeah.
In a PPR at 1105, McKinnon is a good value. Another good pick from Spence. And from Team 4 with Dalton Kincaid. Yeah, those are definitely
Yeah, those are shaping out to be two of my favorite teams from this so far. Like the Spears pick.
I do. I like that a lot. Yeah. Team 5 is very good.
They've listened to the show a lot.
Not surprised.
They are on every week. No, they're a good account to begin with.
Yeah. True. Not loving what Team 6 is doing.
Yeah.
Not loving Team 6.
And Team 8 is just, I think that is my least favorite.
I have nothing nice to say about Team 8. Team 8 is by far my least favorite. I also, Team 11, not a big fan of what Team 11 has been doing lately.
I do like the Hyatt pick there.
Ultimate is just lighting a pick on fire.
I don't like that one. That's my.
Jalen
I actually
Hyatt's
like
a little similar. It's a slightly better version of Tank Dell to me, but I think it's going to be the same problem because I don't think Jalen Hyatt is going to play much week 1. Slightly better version of Tank Dell because the obstacle is less bad, but I still not a fan of that one. Kenneth Gainwell, I like. Romeo Dobbs were other players who had higher upside than Dobbs, so that one.
Yeah.
AJ Dillon is I give that 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, the Dylan Kmet is
favorite picks.
I started
Dylan
to like
Kmet
in the draft in the beginning.
Combo. I also don't like Herbert really in the 6th. Oh, considering Burrow was available 7 picks later, and Lawrence 9 picks later, and I don't like that Etienne Harris combo at all. It's terrifying.
It's not bad. 3-4 though. That's not terrible to me with the back.
It's scary. AJ Brown is not my favorite pick. Also, they bypassed CeeDee Lamb and running
twice.
Yeah.
I have CeeDee Lamb
I'm not
very high, so
I'm not high on Team 11, Team 8, and Team 6. Although Team 6 did just maybe help themselves by picking Chigakonkwo to cover up for Evan Ingram. I also I gotta say Team 9. Team 9. Bijan was good. Jacobs was good, but then we have gone completely off the rails. I'm not sure I like much else of what Team 9 did. Khalil Herbert at 804 might be the only other pick that I like from Team 9.
I know you don't like it. I don't hate the Kittle pick at 6.
It's not the best, but it's not the worst. Christian Kirk and Amari Cooper are not my favorite.
No. Josh Allen, I got to say, though, it's funny. I don't like to take quarterbacks early in 1 QB leagues. The leagues that I tend to win are the ones that I take the quarterbacks early, and I have Mahomes or Allen. So I don't know if there's something to that I got to readjust.
Yeah.
Every time I invest early, I win.
I like the people who are taking second tight ends, especially to cover the Team 4's approach. I like this Kincaid and Musgrave approach. I like
Love
what
it.
Team 4 is doing.
Musgrave looks really good,
I have
too.
very few complaints about Team 4. Adam Thielen, I could have done without. But other than Adam Thielen, there's not much I would change on Team 4.
So while I was in the bathroom, Dustin said that I have to go and follow, listen, watch, read all of Ryan's stuff.
All right.
Great
I got
idea.
one.
I will
Ryan.
say Team 1 has majorly turned it around with the trio of Laporta, Mitchell, and Singletary. Those have all been good values.
Yep.
Hey Ryan, where can Dustin find all of your work?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Right at that at what Gibbs FF on Twitter. It's like Joe Gibbs. What Gibbs FF?
You know, I thought your last name was Gibbs for the longest time.
I know. I even got the Joe Gibbs glasses as the logo.
So Tyler, Brett has a quick question for you. Why are you so out on Jeudy? He didn't even go on IR.
Okay, so this is the kind of thing where you got to read between the lines. People are saying very bad things about Jerry Jeudy who have knowledge of the situation. And yeah, I have a feeling that he is a lot less ready than he thinks.
To me, it's definite 4 weeks. and it is sounding like it could be more like 6 to 8. And in that instance, in a redraft, you can go 8 weeks without Jerry Jeudy. You're burning a pick.
There was a whole thing that Derek Brown and John Daigle pointed out on a podcast that Adam Schefter did. And Jerry Jeudy's not going to play week 1.
No.
I'm also concerned of the re-injury rate for.
That's also true. Hamstrings of all the injuries are top of the list of what scares me.
Yep.
Even more than anything else. Hamstrings, the fantasy footballers talk about it constantly. We don't want to have a hamstring problem. A hamstring problem is the last thing I want. I don't want that because that does not get healed until you rest for a long period of time. So he's either going to be out. It's not going to be fully, unless he misses 5 or 6 weeks, it's never going to be fully healed. He's going to be playing through it. And the problem with a hamstring is it can get aggravated at any time. And then your game is cut short, and then you don't want that.
So, like, you play the first 5 games, the first 5 snaps of the game, and
crushes you.
Suddenly,
and Jerry Jeudy's not
0.
good to begin with. I'm not that excited about Jerry Jeudy.
Spence, known JT truther. How's that for cost on Evan Hall? He just took him in the last round.
Fine, yeah. I have Evan Hall at running back 53. I mean, I'd have to look and see if there are. I don't want to influence the draft. Yeah, I mean, considering I'm looking, quick look at the running backs left, I'm not sure there are many running backs I would have taken over him if any had. Good pick.
See, I have him as RB 41, so I really like it.
Yeah. I still think the most likely outcome is that JT comes back, but, you know,
we're covering Dak Prescott with Kirk Cousins.
So
if I look at those two, I would have rather just not picked Dak Prescott and only had Kirk Cousins and taken someone else at 10:06. Like if we look at Team 7 is weak at wide receiver. I mean, we have Deontay Johnson at wide receiver 2, Treylon Burks at 3, and Rashee Rice at 4, and no one else. If I could have canceled the Dak Prescott and instead had, looking at the guys picked later, it's rough. There's not a lot of guys. Probably Marvin Mims would have been the one I would have wanted now with all the recent news.
Yep.
If I could have Marvin Mims instead of Dak Prescott, I might like Team 7's build a little better.
I also would have liked Mingo there too, because I do think Mingo is going to get a lot of run.
Mingo would have been my pick before this Broncos stuff. But Marvin Mims is a better prospect than Jonathan Mingo.
I do like the covering of Joe Burrow with Daniel Jones. I don't like covering Rodgers.
Daniel Jones is such a value at 14.09. I mean, we have to accept Daniel Jones is not going to be on waivers during the season. So at some point, he's got to be picked. And 14.09, even if I had a quarterback already, is a fine value.
It's a good pick. I really like that. If Joe Burrow is starting slow with the calf or is having,
I have very few complaints about Team 4. Team 4 is doing very well.
How concerned are you about Burrow to start the season with the calf injury?
Slightly. There are a few quarterbacks. I would say if I took Mahomes, Allen, or Hurts, I'm probably not taking a backup quarterback. Anyone else, I'm fine taking some of the backups if they fall to a value like Cousins or Jones in the 14th. I'm fine taking them.
So we're looking for some thoughts here. 9th pick, double flex, 10-man PPR. Herbert, Kupp, Adams, Andrews, Sanders, Kamara, Hopkins, Dobbins. Also have Jamal Williams till Kamara comes back.
Yeah.
It's a team that was drafted.
I think it's good. I mean, I think it's fine. I would say most of the time, like team eval stuff like this is mostly done on the Patreon. There's the link. Yeah. Next.
Yeah, I think you got a lot of experience. You have a lot of really good veteran, older wide receivers that should.
That's going to be good for this year.
If they perform consistently.
Yeah.
I have picked 2 in a 10-team.
Non-PPR. I was asked for non-PPR ranks a little bit this week. I don't do those. Nobody does.
And Jefferson is going first. who would you recommend it to?
In a standard, I
would-
almost want to just take Bijan Robinson at 2. But I'll go with Bijan Robinson.
I kind of like Chase over Jefferson because Chase catches less balls than Jefferson.
Well,
I was gonna say.
It's one of the few formats I would take. Would potentially take Chase over Jefferson. But
I'd still leave
On
Jefferson
PPR,
just because
you
the
need
body
running
work,
backs
but
bad.
yeah, the running backs.
I'll probably take Bijan Robinson.
Is that a keep? Is that Dynasty, that one? Did it say?
No, I didn't think it was.
No.
I think it's just a redraft.
Okay.
It's tough. Non-PPR really hurts McCaffrey and Eckler.
Also, if you're watching the show and you're putting questions in the chat, now that we're getting into full draft season and you're asking questions, make sure to include it if it's redraft or Dynasty.
That would help.
We do default to Dynasty a lot of the times, and
Not this week, but
Not this
generally, if you ask.
If you're going to ask us a
during
trade
the
question,
season, right now we're assuming most of the time it's redraft. But during the season, we don't know whether it's redraft. You have to specify. During the off season, it's obviously always Dynasty.
I
But
mean, yeah, we look
when
for,
we get
look
to
for context
shows
clues.
in the season, it's very important because both redraft and Dynasty leagues are going on. You need to specify which it is. Let's see. So there was a couple other things. Do either of you guys have anything to say about the Trey Lance situation?
Man,
That was on the show sheet as an intro segment, but we just kind of
JT
never
blew
got
that
there.
away.
Yeah.
I know he's viewed as a bust. I still feel like
He
there's
is
a
bust.
path to relevance for him, though. I really do. If he could get with the right system where they can build a run game around him, I still think there's time for him to develop. It's just he was such a project. I think the big thing to me is that I think NFL teams need to start realizing is when a guy is that much of a project, you can draft him, but it's not at pick 2. It's not trading draft capital, go up and get him. Those
do
guys
think
just
teams
flame
have
out
learned
so
that.
much.
I do think teams have learned that. I think we have seen the end of top 5 drafted quarterback who doesn't start week 1. I think I said this in the first place. If you can't start week 1, you shouldn't be drafted in the top 5. I said that from the beginning.
Yep.
You're not worthy. If you cannot start week 1, you are not a top 5 pick. It's my opinion. I think I've been proven right over the last few years.
With all of these projects coming out like a Trey Lance and flaming out, does Anthony Richardson scare you at all?
No, because Anthony Richardson's not a project. Anthony Richardson is not a project. Anthony Richardson is not a good thrower and is not going to become one. But he is not a project. He is a different kind of player. No one is thinking that Anthony Richardson is going to become a good thrower of the ball. The problem is that the 49ers had their offense. They were going to run it, and they expected Trey Lance to develop into becoming a good thrower of the ball. That was never going to happen.
Yep.
So,
do you see Kirk Cousins there next year?
I've said it a million times, and yes.
I agree.
For me, I think Jerry Jones would be wise to tell Trey Lance, all right, we traded for you. We spent this pick on you. Go spend a season in the XFL and get all these game reps while still under contract for the Dallas Cowboys. It won't happen, but I would love to see it because he needs game reps and he needs plays. He needs throws. Yeah. Even against that subpar competition, he needs reps.
It's just not how the world works.
He's not going to get it in Dallas.
It's just not how the world works.
And
also, XFL reps are going to help him.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Trey Lance hurt Dak's redraft value this year by taking away some stuff at the goal line and some interesting plays that we saw from Trey Lance in his rookie year.
That's not going to happen. Trey Lance, I'd be surprised if Trey Lance plays at all. I don't believe that.
Do you want him to run the Tim Tebow offense on the goal line?
I don't see him not doing anything.
At this point, I do not think Trey Lance is going to get another starting job. Right now, I have Trey Lance and Will Levis valued similarly. Why is that? I think Will Levis is more likely to get a chance to have a starting job because technically he hasn't had a chance yet. But if Trey Lance ever goes in, he rushes, so he'll be worth more for fantasy. For real life, if we were talking about who has more real life value, it's obviously Will Levis because he was just taken in the second round, and Trey Lance was just dumped for a fourth rounder. But Brock Purdy. Actually, don't. But yeah, for Dynasty, they're about equal to me. Basically, I have at this point, there's 31 starters. Then I have Trey Lance and Will Levis, and then Baker Mayfield at 34.
You want to hear something crazy though?
What?
Will Levis still is a full year older than Trey Lance is. He's so young. That's why I can't write him off yet. I feel like if he gets with the right staff, if he gets with the right offense, I feel like
period of time. It's too much of a period of time. It's not about age. He just hasn't played significant anything since 2019. And now he's not going to play at all this year. So,
but I think that's good for him. I think he needs to develop. I really do. I don't want to see him rushed into anything.
It's been too many years. It's been too many years at this point. And I do think if he were good, he'd still be on the 49ers. I really think he has to just be bad.
Does Shanahan have a good track record with quarterbacks though? Like long term? Anywhere?
He does. He has a good track record of getting more out of less. He has a good track record of getting more out of less. Of making Nick Mullins look better than he should. Of making CJ Beathard looking better than he should. I think we're going to see of making Jimmy Garoppolo look better than he should.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going to see how bad Jimmy Garoppolo is with Josh McDaniels as his coach. I think we're going to see.
Well, one of the things Shanahan does with his system is he gives them the one read, and if it's not there, it's a dump off. And that's
I think
across the board, and that his play calling is allowed for that to happen because
I think it's very simple.
He schemes players open so well.
I think
it's either there or it's not.
It's very simple. Kyle Shanahan wanted to pick Mac Jones. John Lynch said, no, you have to pick Trey Lance. Kyle Shanahan said, okay, well, I'll take Trey Lance. I'm going to put him on the bench. He's going to be our starter. Oh, oops, injured. Oh, now I have an excuse. Never going to go back to him. You can fire me. I will not coach this team with Trey Lance as my starter. You need to get rid of him. I don't want him.
It's funny because during the draft, that was so much smoke leading up to it. Does Shanahan prefer Mac Jones? I think it was real. I think he actually preferred Mac Jones.
He never acted like he wanted Trey Lance. He never, anything with Trey Lance. Never, ever.
Which is funny because it's the same thing that happened to him in Washington. They didn't want RG3, him and his father, and they got RG3. So I think it's odd that they just keep getting in that situation where they get it shoved down the throat. It's just coincidence, but it just
I think
I'm with you.
They made a huge mistake, and I think that it is the end of quarterback projects. I think that this is leaving such a bad taste in people's mouths that nobody is going to spend this high of a pick on a project ever again. You can spend this high of a pick on someone like Anthony Richardson, who the idea is that they're going to run.
Yeah.
But you have to, but also Anthony Richardson looks much more ready year one than Trey Lance did because at the end of the day, while he wasn't a good passer, he played at Florida.
Yeah.
Florida is not North Dakota State. He played at Florida. He played against SEC competition. He played against a lot of players who are going to be in the NFL. He played against serious competition. Did he pass accurately against them? No. Was he able to physically compete with them? Yes. Maybe that's.
He also didn't have the best supporting cast either to be playing in the SEC. I feel like he did I'm excited about Anthony Richardson. I like him.
I'm excited about Anthony Richardson, and I just think that, the idea was that he was going to start week one. If you don't think he can start week one, you shouldn't pick him that high.
Yep.
This one, it's Gibbs over Mixon.
Oh, yeah. Gibbs, that's not even big time Gibbs.
Spence asks, can he post a pick of the draft?
Why not?
Do it.
Why not? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
All right, so we took care of Trey Lance. Don't forget to watch my short on Trey Lance. A lot of my friends are playing a starring role in that. And then while your people are here, a few notable cuts. I don't think there were any cuts that affected redraft. Yeah, we can take that down. I think we talked enough about the draft. I'll talk about the draft in the Patreon itself, but I think I want to thank everyone for participating in the draft.
Sorry. There we go.
And I want to thank everyone for that. And I just want to thank everyone from the Patreon for being there and doing it and, doing a great job of getting the picks in time. And I'll go over the draft a little bit more on the Patreon. I might do a Patreon video or something. I reference it on the next Patreon show. But yeah, just thanks everyone for that. And then a few NFL cuts, right? Let's see. The Patriots cut Bailey Zappe. Apparently, this was not very surprising to people there, but it was a little surprising to me.
Yeah.
I remember the Zappe hour. Do you remember the Zappe hour?
I mean, there was a point where it seemed like did they prefer him to Mac Jones at one? So I was surprised.
He almost beat the Packers last year. Like his first game out there, he's fine. I felt like he had that job safely. I thought as a QB2 of the team.
The only thing I could think of is, did they see some of the other moves across the league? Do they like that Colt McCoy got cut? Do they prefer him as a backup? Because that could be a fit there.
They can't prefer Colt McCoy as a backup.
Maybe it's for the
keep
sake of
any
being
other quarterbacks, though.
A clipboard holder, someone in the headset that's got a little bit more experience.
Maybe. We'll see. I mean, they're obviously not going to go into the season with one quarterback.
Right.
But Bailey Zappe was someone I had some thought had some dynasty value, and I guess he does not. You can drop him. These kind of quarterbacks, once they fail, they just become journeyman backups. They're not someone you want to keep. So you can drop Bailey Zappe in dynasty. Broncos traded Alberto to the Eagles. Don't add him. Please don't add him. There are other players who are better. Just forget it. 2 different coaching staffs have seen Alberto and have said, "You suck. No thanks." So, yeah, I'm good on him. Next, the Jets cut Zonovan Knight. This one, I have a different opinion. He was squeezed by this roster. Someone good was going to be cut from the Jets. Zonovan Knight, Michael Carter, and Israel Abanikanda are all 3 good enough to be the RB3 on a team. One of them wasn't going to make it. It's unsurprising they got rid of the one they didn't pick this year and, the UDFA. They kept 4 backs, including a high-end guy in Breece Hall and a high-priced free agent in Dalvin Cook. So they obviously like Carter and Abanikanda. Zonovan Knight just got squeezed out. There's been interest in him on the waiver wire. I fully expect him to be claimed and potentially have a more... I'm not saying he's going to be relevant, but these running backs are the guys you want to hang on to. This is someone who won the starting job for a period of time as a UDFA rookie last year. So this is someone I would not drop in Dynasty over a lot of other guys, but he's not a drop to me yet. If he doesn't get claimed, then I'll drop him. But I'd rather have him over like journeyman like Matt Breida or Justice Hill.
Yeah.
Or even draft other guys who got cut. DeWayne McBride and Deneric Prince. I'd rather have Zonovan Knight because they were all cut by their teams, but one of them we know was good. The other 2 were never good. I'd rather take the one that was good at some point.
McBride really surprised me, though. I liked him as like a power runner as his profile. McBride.
That surprised me a lot. I was stunned that he was cut. But the track record of guys who don't make their rookie year 53 is basically death.
Yep.
So it's basically a death sentence. Oh.
I heard State Farm's hiring for many of them.
Like, for example, Zonovan Knight made the Jets' initial 53. And then he bounced up and down the practice squad. But if you can't even make this initial 53, it's a really bad sign.
Can you see Zonovan Knight going to someone like the Colts? Like, is that I could picture that being a waiver claim for them.
So I don't think that solves anything. I think there are a few teams who I can pull up the depth charts. But there are a couple teams who really don't have anything at RB3.
Bengals.
The Bengals don't even really have much at
RB2.
At RB2, but
would you rather have Zonovan Knight or Chase Brown?
Well, I'll give you an example. The Patriots have no RB3.
I like Chase Brown.
The Patriots do not currently roster an RB3. So that's a team that could claim him. Yeah, the Bengals are on my list. The Texans.
Panthers?
Yes, the Panthers. I mean, I think he's better than Raheem Blackshear. The Lions do not roster an RB3. I'm not saying that he's going to have a lot of the Rams, because Zach Evans is falling off that roster.
Cardinals?
For anyone. The Cardinals, yeah, they don't have an RB. Their RB3
they don't have an RB2.
Amari DeMarcado, who maybe is someone you should look at.
I'd rather have Zonovan Knight over Keontae Ingram.
Did you say Titans?
Well, yeah, the Titans cut. They cut Hassan Haskins.
Yeah, it's Julius Chestnut is their 3.
The Raiders, they don't really have an RB3. So the Patriots is what I'm saying. Literally don't have an RB3. They literally do not roster one. But there are many of other teams. The Lions are the other that literally do not have one. But the Packers, Emmanuel Wilson is not better than Zonovan.
Well, the Packers do like Emmanuel Wilson quite a bit.
Yeah, but he's still not better than Zonovan. I mean, he barely made it over the other options. So
I was happy to see Sean Tucker and Zach Evans both get rostered.
Zach Evans was close to being cut. I'll say that.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I still like Sean Tucker. I feel like if he didn't have the medical stuff coming out of college, I don't think he makes it past round 4.
Yeah, I think Sean Tucker's their RB2 right now.
And there's a world where can he overtake Rachaad White eventually? Maybe not early, but
maybe. But yeah, of the players cut, only Zonovan Knight is really someone I'm interested in. I'm not so interested in DeWayne McBride or Deneric Prince. Deneric Prince, I guess, a little more so, but not really. It's rough. If they didn't make those depth charts, it's tough.
Yeah.
So not really interested in them. And then the Ravens cut Melvin Gordon, that we knew. The Cowboys cut Malik Davis. This was obviously coming. If you've been paying attention over the last 2 weeks. Rico Dowdle is their RB2 for now. Deuce Vaughn, I think, will be the RB2, but there's no role. Rico Dowdle and Malik Davis were competing for that temporary RB2 role. Rico Dowdle won the competition. Malik Davis lost. So Rico Dowdle is definitely an ad. If somehow he's on your Dynasty waiver wire, he should not be. Along with other running backs who made their teams and might have roles. Jaleel McLaughlin, who we talked about earlier, he should not be on waiver wires. Kyron Williams is currently the Rams RB2, and it's not close. Over Zach Evans, he should not be on waivers. Elijah Dotson, UDFA from the Chargers, he made the team. Pretty much any of these young running backs who made the team, who are not journeymen, should be on your team. Keaton Mitchell made the Ravens. He's one I would look at. Definitely should not be on waivers. That's just a non-exhaustive list. Chris Rodriguez made the Commanders as RB3. No real hope for him, but he should be on your roster. Yeah, so all those guys, all those running backs who made the team. In terms of other cuts,
Rodriguez, they say, was handpicked by Bieniemy, though. So we'll see.
Yeah, he's one of my highest on the list of all these guys. Because he's RB3 for sure. There was never a competition really for it. But I just didn't really like him as a player. But I don't really like the players they have. So, and then there were a couple other cuts. The Patriots, like I said, went down to 2 running backs, cut Kevin Harris. The Dolphins cut Myles Gaskin. Doesn't matter. But they also cut that Elijah Higgins. I had so much hope for him. Converted wide receiver to tight end. That one did not work out. The Jets cut Zach Kuntz. Another one of those tight ends I had a lot of hope for. I will say, any non-running back who is cut, get rid of them. They have no value. Only running backs, because they can bounce around and then show up. Might I still hold? Any non-running back who did not make their team, they can go. They can go easily. They're all off my Dynasty roster list right now. They're all off there. I will say Jason Brownlee made the Jets. I'm excited. I have a soft spot for him. He looks so good in camp. I was very happy he made the Jets. So he's someone I was looking at for sure in this process. Trey Palmer made the Bucks, but that's not a surprise. I think everyone thought that would happen. Is there anything else I forgot? I don't think so. I think we've covered almost everything.
Even the preseason takes, we got through most of them throughout the
we got through
the
most
draft.
of them.
I think it's also our last Sunday without football for a bit. So enjoy the holiday weekend.
Yep.
Enjoy some good college football week 1.
Next week, we're gonna have a kind of a show like this, except there's gonna be no mock. We're gonna kind of preview heading into week 1. We'll do a little bit of discussion about redraft, a little bit of discussion, final discussion about redraft, a little discussion about dynasty moves to make heading into the season. We'll talk about previewing week 1 and any news that's happened between now and then. Just kind of a variety show next week. And then after that, we head into the weekly recaps. Every week, it'll be a weekly recap. That'll be the show. We'll talk about stuff that happened, dynasty takes, redraft takes. It'll just be a recap and a discussion of what to do. So that'll be the show. Next week will be variety show. And then every show after that will be recaps. And we'll do that for 17 weeks.
Beautiful.
How's that sound?
That sounds freaking great. Just make sure you bring the air horn. the mega.
I have an air horn too. I'll have to look into that. Megaphone, yes. The megaphone.
There you go.
I just want to thank the audience. This is the first time we've gone above 30 live viewers, I think, in a very long time, maybe almost a year. So thank everyone who joined the chat, all the patrons for doing the draft, for making your picks in such a timely fashion, all the co-hosts, and just everyone who makes this show possible, everyone on X, Twitter, Patrick.
I was one of the co-hosts.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll see you guys all next week.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.